warm welcome to all the participants. I know it was a very short commercial break, but welcome back. And we're going to have a very power-packed panel discussion now. So, a warm welcome to you all again and the dignitaries and to our panelists, Dr. Irina Bierman, Ms. Seema Chaturvedi, Ms. Shefali Sonpur, Ms. Upasana Sharma, and Ms. Yardeen Kagan. Thank you so much for joining the panel discussion on Go Global. My name is Mishma Stanislaus, the Chief Global Communication Officer at CIMSME and GCPIT, and I take great pleasure in moderating today's panel discussion. So with that, and just to set the background, today Going Global has transformed from its humble beginnings as a mere recommendation. Now it has become an absolute necessity for continued growth and success. However, most women-owned businesses that are SMEs seem to be lagging in tapping their vast foreign consumer base, despite studies showing that women-owned businesses that engage in the export of their goods and services earn exponentially higher than women-owned firms that do not. Only 12% of businesses that export are owned by women. The Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report for women reports that 274 million women are already running their own businesses across 74 economies, of which 111 million are running well-established business by 2016. Women are also known to give back about 90% of their earnings to the health and education of their communities and families, contributing to development directly. So it's easy to see why this is critical. And hence, to guide and support and encourage women out there, the Global Women's Business Summit has invited an expert panel of international leaders who will share information and answer relevant questions on Going Global. So with that, I would like to introduce our first panelist for today, Dr. Irina Bierman. She's the director of STRUMI BV, an international G2B and B2B development consultancy with an extensive expertise in the Netherlands. STRUMI provides a link between Dutch experience in investment management and the initiation, development of technology and innovation. They have created a network of senior executives from leading Dutch companies in various industries, and their customers come from across the corporate and financial industry, representing private capital investment firms, successful entrepreneurs, funds, financial institutions, and corporations who are interested in private investment deals such as new technologies, innovations, and commercial contacts. It is a pleasure to have you with us again, Dr. Irina.
Hello.
And I would like you to open the session by sharing how do we ascertain that our company is ready to go global? So over to you, Dr. Irina.
First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with so nice lady from around the world, not only India, as I understood. And hello, everyone from Netherlands. Yes, we have now not nice time with pandemic, but we're strong. We have power.
I think Mishma, she's facing a technical error. You can go ahead with the next speaker, I believe.
No,
Nikita, ma'am, you can continue.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, please go ahead. Sorry, Irina, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello.
Yes, I have this question, and I would like to say that first of all, you to go abroad, to be sure that your business is ready to go global, you have to understand yourself with your power. If your business can functionality smoothly in your local space themselves. If you are sure that you can go further, you have to go, you have to do this step. First of all, you have to think about your intellectual property. If you're working with IT, e-commerce, and most developing industry, you have security, your IT, intellectual property. You have to know that you have properly license, copyright, trademarks, all of your property is insured and registered by Patent Bureau of special organization. If you're speaking about Europe, you have to, first of all, investigate all of these special things as certification, license, trademark, and patent request to be security and safety with your business here in Europe. Then you have to understand how will be your payment systems. That's why you have to go to your bank and speak how your bank connect with global banks and how your payment will be really working, for example, here in Europe. Then you have to understand how working your website, because website now it's very important. We are working now online, and website has to be also looking as a global website. That means you have to branding yourself as a global company, and website and all your connection, your brandings have to be also global. That's why I advise you to investigate by internet or go to your local partners and speak with them how to present yourself first step. Then it's very important to present yourself because it's your image. And for example, in Europe, this is your face. And as we talk, first people look at face, then speak with you further. That's why all of your business has to be prepared. I know that Indian company, IT company, very progressive. That's why it's not just question for you. Just speak with local people. Which country do you want to go? Investigate by internet and prepare yourself. This is first your step, and you can go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Irina. So I'm requesting the other speakers to kindly mute yourselves so that we don't interrupt the other speakers. Okay, we seem to have lost Ms. Seema, but yeah, hopefully she'll join in. So moving on, I would like to introduce our next panelist for today, Ms. Shefali Sonpur. She is a data and digital transformation evangelist, a thought leader. Ms. Shefali is a recognized digital transformation expert, helping insurers innovate and evolve in the face of disruption. Ms. Shefali has held global leadership roles across business and technology with Fortune 500 companies. She is an international speaker and cited expert on the subjects of technology and innovation. Ms. Shefali is known for pushing innovation boundaries to improve customer experience and deliver enhanced business outcomes. At a personal level, she harbors a deep interest in nurturing talent and has received global awards for her efforts towards inclusion and diversity. She is also the Honorable Vice Chairperson of FinTech, Insurance Tech and Regulatory Tech Advisory Board of CIMSME. So it is great to have you with us today, Ms. Shefali. And my question for you is, as a global citizen that you are, when we are looking into expanding, what role does the culture and language of a particular country play? Over to you, Ms. Shefali.
Thank you so much, Mishta, for this lovely introduction. I believe, and I completely agree with my co-panelist, Arina, that the foundation of any business is the value proposition that you're going to give to your customer. If your value proposition is correct, if your value proposition is aligned to the user, that's the foundation of your business model. Now, once you've understood the value proposition, the pricing of it, and the positioning of it, and how you're going to position yourself as the founder of that idea, the next step is how do you place it in the market that you wish to enter. It could be, since this is an Indian forum and the audience may largely be Indian, if you're looking at a domestic market, it becomes very important that your idea, which is very, very relevant in India, may or may not be suitable for a relatively underdeveloped or relatively developed market. Let's look at things like financial positions, and the of course with COVID that has changed. But had we spoken about 12 months ago, the mobile payment methodology, the market readiness becomes extremely important, and market readiness has people. Ultimately, your consumer are human beings, be it a business customer or an individual retail customer. At the core of it, it's a person that is buying the product or the service. And that's where the culture and the behavior patterns become extremely important. It is a known thing. Studies have shown that even if it's a business purchase, at the core of it, it is the human need of that business that is making you purchase that product. So if I'm, for example, doing a financial package implementation in my company, it is being done to help streamline the accounting process. It's being held to help the accounting people and the accountants in the organization do it faster, smoother, and with more transparency. And that is the fundamental requirement that your solution should address if your market is that. Being aware about the behavior, business needs, and the culture of that demographics and geography become extremely important. Then the second part is your language and your requirement. We all have heard multiple stories, and we are all very senior seasoned professionals here, so I'm not going to repeat very often, but simple words and phrases can have very different meanings in different languages and markets. So as you are, for example, trying to enter the Australian market, a thing like settle down, and this is something I've heard, and
Yeah,
if
now
somebody
it's
is in
saying
Australian, they
intervene.
can validate that to me, has a relatively negative connotation. Whereas in Indian context, settle down means you're doing well. Settle down, I understand, in the Australian market really means that you've gone to bed with the person. And so it has a very, very different connotation. And so if you go there and say something like, it's lovely to know that you're settling with this person, it has a very different connotation. So it's very important that we understand these cultural nuances, these finer dynamics. But that does not mean we don't do it. What is the core of your business is the value you're providing as a service. It may be a good idea to go to that market, do a little bit of ground study and understand it, understand the business opportunity, understand the culture, and when you create the business case, make it a holistic approach so that you are not taken off guard. That would be my view. Culture is extremely important, but culture is built by people, and people are you and I, and we will build that culture together.
Thank you, Ms. Shefali. That was very nicely put. So I think Ms. Seema has joined us back. So I'll give our next panelist here. We have Ms. Seema Chaturvedi. Ms. Chaturvedi has over 20 years of capital market and financial management experience. As an entrepreneur, investment banker, and investor, she brings a unique perspective to the strategic planning and investment process. Ms. Chaturvedi is a founder and managing partner of Achieving Women Equity AWE funds to invest in innovative enterprises which positively impact gender balance by investing in women-owned, led, influenced companies in India, building on the investment thesis that investing in women businesses delivers both commercial returns and economic development impact. Ms. Chaturvedi has received several honors, including Crane's Detroit Business 40 Under 40, Crane's Detroit Business, Detroit's Most Influential Business Women, Asian Indian Women's Association Women of Distinction. She's been inducted to Michigan Hall of Fame for Enterprising Women, Certificate of Recognition from the U.S. House of Representatives, named Crane's Detroit Influential Women in Tech, Special Recognition Award for Promoting Women Entrepreneurship by CIEIE Global. It is a pleasure to have you with us today, Ms. Seema. And with that, I would like for you to address the gathering by answering the question on how do we ascertain that our company is ready to go global. Over to you,
Well,
Ms. Seema.
thanks so much, Mishma, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen who are attending this. Apologies for a slight technology glitch, but I'm glad to be back here. So unfortunately, I've not heard my other panelists' comments. So hopefully, I'm not going to repeat what was said. But to answer this question, look, I've spent a good 20 plus years helping companies become global in terms of their expansion strategies. There is there is no straight answer because it's not one size fits all. It is a function of what domain you're in, what industry you're in, something, and I'll use this example as a joke as an example of why it cannot be one size fits all.
Very briefly, there was there's a street, I forget which part of the city in India, a small town, where there was a tailor, and people around him would say best in this town. Then somebody would say best tailor in this state. Somebody would say best tailor in India. Somebody would say best tailor in Asia. And the guy who won the business the most said, I'm the best tailor in this street. And so if residents were coming for a reason to get their clothes stitched, it was needing to be local. And so whether you're going to be global or going or staying domestic is really a function of what industry you operate in and what are the imperatives and the fundamentals that are driving you. There is nowhere does it say that you absolutely have to be global. You can be a very profound, impactful, profitable, really, profit's an important word, and getting hopefully more important now, by just being where you are. Having said that, there are opportunities that you can tap into, and that is the career I've built of helping companies globally expand. When do you know that the timing is right? Well, again, there is no such straight answer. There is a confluence of factors that have to come together. The moons have to align for you to say, the company is ready. But having said that, you've got to have a few fundamentals in place, the most important being a team. You've got to have a team that has the bandwidth to be able to look at integrating processes across different time zones, because it is not easy to be working in different time zones. And something as basic as not being able to cater for that can really hamper your growth in those markets, or maybe even sustain. I've seen more companies fail by going global and realizing they didn't have the right team in place. So get your team in place. Understand where your market is headed. Where is your customer? Does the market, and I believe we'll be getting into deeper discussions of customer, but again, step back, and we can elaborate on this. Step back, understand what your product is, where is the market for it, is there a robust and growing demand for your product or service in the markets that you want to approach in, and do you have a team to pull it off, and then back that up with the resources. Do you have the resources it takes to be able to expand? And it always costs twice as much, takes twice as long to actually execute a strategy. So budget that in. And I'll add on in my later comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Seema. So with that, I would like to introduce our next panelist, Ms. Upasana Sharma. Ms. Upasana is the CEO and the founder of Investor Quotient Canada, with expertise in law and venture capital. An expert in the Canadian Startup Visa Program, Ms. Upasana has successfully launched several global startup companies in the Canadian market. An accomplished Canadian lawyer with an entrepreneurial spirit, Ms. Upasana helps startups and international business turn their vision of entering Canada into reality. Before entering into the world of business consulting, angel investing, and venture capital, Ms. Upasana was a practicing Canadian lawyer. Her extensive litigation experience with some of the top Canadian law firms, including Lerner's LLP and the Attorney General's Office, has given her an in-depth understanding of Canadian regulatory and business requirements. Ms. Upasana's expertise in law, immigration, and regulatory compliance, combined with her highly accomplished advocacy, negotiations, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills, allow her to proficiently handle all the business and legal aspects of an enterprise's strong and seamless entry into the Canadian market. It is a pleasure to have you again with us today, Ms. Upasana. And with that, my question for you is, should we look into any specific details when it comes to communication or the way we communicate when we enter into an international arena? So with that, over to you, Ms. Upasana.
First of all, thank you, Mishima. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm really glad that I'm on a panel with such accomplished women with diverse experiences, which bring so much value and knowledge today. And I'm sure it's going to be one enriching experience for me again to learn so much. And this question which you posed me is really important, Mishima, and I think so Shefali touched on it. And whatever she said about cultural sensitivity norms give a very good segue for me to go into a further nuance of communication. We know that in the current scenario in the world, none of our offices, all of us are on this panel from the various parts of the world. So no more the definition of offices the brick and mortar space where our office operates. There is so much interdependence in the economies that any business you start, you might have a person who's providing you raw material from another part of the world. You might have a customer in another part of the world, or you actually have a global team where you have offices in North America, Europe, India, and that's more particular, as Jasima said, about the IT field, but it's growing in any other field as well, be it communications, be it legal teams. These times we have law firms which are all over the world. So the bottom line is most of us are working in global environment. And a very key factor is when you work in a global environment, to work efficiently, the communication is the key. Even in your personal relationship, if your communication is not right with one of your colleague or friends, the relationship does not work. Now think about a global organizations with hundreds and thousands or even 30 employees on the various part of the globe, but the communication is the key. And when we communicate with someone, it is very important that we understand the cultural norm. We understand the communication nuances which comes with it, so that there is no misunderstanding. The people understand each other and there is a better communication. As again, Shefali put a very good example of settling down. I am settling down. It's such a common thing. We use it all the time. Australia, it's totally considered as a wrong connotation. I'll give another example adding to it. So if you are working in Asia, South Asian culture, you ask someone, how are they feeling? Just as that's the start of conversation all the time. Hey, how are you feeling? And everybody goes to tell about how good they are feeling. Or if they're bad, they'll tell you how bad they are feeling. And they'll tell you exactly where the problem is, because there is a culture of openness. Come to North America. You ask someone, how are you feeling? Simple answer is not bad. It's like, that's it. And yes, you need to understand that everybody likes their personal space. They don't like to be known much about what's happening in their personal life, which is different from the South Asian culture. Now, if you have a global leader who is managing, he or she who is managing this global team, and they don't understand these nuances, that where to place hold, it can cause kind of miscommunication. It can cause kind of stress. And always remember, the way we communicate, 90% of the communicate is your body language, how you say things. And that's how good teams are made. Just another example, and it's really enticing to know. So in South Asian culture, again, you're joining a new office firm and people tell you, I want to take you out for drinks. Am I right? What are the expectations? Somebody's going to take you out for the drinks. They're going to order food for you. They're going to order drinks for you, and they're going to pay for you because they invited you over. That's how the culture works. North America, you join a new office space and your friend says, hey, I'm going to take you out for lunch today, or I'm going to invite you for drinks. I am so eager to go. I go there. They sit in the restaurant. They order their food. They order their drinks. And I'm looking at their face. Okay, what are you going to do for me? No. You have to order your own drinks. They invited you to come over. That's fine. You have to order your own drinks. You have to order your own food. And in the end, they'll pay for their food and their drinks, and you'll pay for your food and drinks. That's normal. But if you don't have that understanding, if you don't know that, you'll be taken aback. Oh, this person is rude, you know? So bottom line is, interpersonal communication, it is very important to understand the culture, the nuances, the norms. And this goes beyond in the work culture too. Let's take the example of how we operate in different worlds. South Asia is emerging. There are places that we say there is no work-life balance. People work extra hours. You can ping them an email at night and you're expected to answer. Same as in North America. A typical week hours is up to 60 hours per week. You work 8 to 9 hours in your office. You log off. You go back home. You're expected to be back on your computer and you're going to work. But pick up Europe and pick up Australia. 8 hours, done. Nobody expects you to pick up your phone. You might even switch off your phone when you're home. Who cares? My 8 hours are done. I have built it. I am on my own. Now, if you're a global leader who has a team over in various parts of the world, and you don't understand this, that I can't bother my employee in UK, Germany, Australia, after 5 o'clock, when they have left the place, there'll be a job retention problem. Okay. And if you are a person who's operating out of North America, you don't get work after 8 hours. You feel less motivated because maybe they don't take me seriously. All in all, without going into the several examples, the key is whenever a company is going global, it is important to understand that how the communication works, not only the communication in terms of words, but also the work culture communication, how you connect with people, how you make yourself people understand things. And that's how you make a very good company. So a communication policy is very important. One last example I will give you. In India, for example, and that's my experience, and I may be totally wrong, when a person of senior authority is giving you instructions, okay, you never question them. And when they ask you in the end, did you get it? Even if you didn't get it, you'll say, yes, I got it, because they're person of authority. You can't question, sir, does not make sense to me what you said. But in a North American culture, or if somebody is saying you something, you don't get it, you ask the question. So imagine a software company with a senior manager operating from the US market tells a programmer in India, I want this to be done. And the programmer says, yes. And in the end, if they don't understand that yes always does not mean that they got the thing 100% in the South Asian culture, their expectations that whatever the end product is going to meet all their expectations might not be fulfilled. So it is important to understand how the hierarchy works, how the culture works, what are the nuances, what are the reference points, what experiences people have grown and lived with, and taking into consideration if you have a communication policy, that makes you a global communication leader, and that's what makes communication key in taking your business global and operating it successfully globally. Thank you, Mishima.
Thank you, Ms. Upasana. Those examples really, were very intuitive, and it helped us understand that communication is critical. So with that, I would like to introduce, last but not the least, our panelist for today, Ms. Yardeen Kagan. Ms. Yardeen Kagan serves as an international consultant and project officer at the International Trade Center. A main portfolio at the ITC includes policy research in the areas of cross-border investment, investment facilitation, and digital economy. Prior to joining ITC, she worked as a legal researcher for the Columbia Center on Sustainable Investments, focusing on areas of land and agriculture, human rights, and investment. During her LLM year at Columbia Law School, Ms. Yardeen focused her scholarship work on sustainable development, responsible business conduct, human rights, and environmental issues. She is a graduate of Tel Aviv University Law Faculty and a member of the Israel Bar Association. As a lawyer, she was a member of the HFN law firm Capital Markets Department, where she advised multinational companies and investment funds with respect to the regulatory aspects of their operation, pursuant to significant regulatory framework developments. And after her work at HFN, she served as a trade and investment policy officer of Israel's permanent delegation to the OECD. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, Ms. Yardeen. And with that, my question for you is, what are the few preliminary steps a company should take before going global? Over to you, Ms. Yardeen.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction and for having me on the panel. So there are many steps that a company can take, and I guess the obvious ones is to conduct deep due diligence into the market they're interested in, and to really have product readiness and organizational readiness. And I think to tap in with the speakers that they talked about, really the importance of understanding the culture and the language and working in an international environment. I think because the process of going global can be very complex and very dynamic, one of my practical preliminary steps that I would advise for a company is, first of all, to try to tap into to the multinational companies that are working in your local economy. I think now we're working on investment facilitation with governments, and you see that many of them are talking about linkages between multinational companies and the local producers and suppliers in the economy. And I think it really it can give the SMEs a very good understanding and experience of how to work in an international environment, something that maybe when they look, they can be very successful locally, but when you try to expand and you understand that you have different cultures, different demands, different environments, and I think it's a very good preliminary step, because afterwards, when you want to go global, if you want to establish a foreign affiliate, and so you can take a local team abroad, But then again, you have the difficulties of communication, and they don't know your product, maybe they don't know your business. So if you have your managers and your people already experienced in international environment, and then you send them abroad and really to start a foreign affiliate, I think it will be easier in transition. So this is one thing. And I think also in a practical matter, because governments understand the importance of these linkages, because they want to have these spillovers into the local economy. So there are today local databases that SMEs can really get into there's investment promotion agencies and also different business associations. And then the multinational companies look at these local databases to really connect to the local suppliers. So I think it's a very if you can get into these databases, it could be an easy jump to really try and to connect into these global value change. So that is what I think it should be a good preliminary step before going global. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yardin. So having set the floor and having understood the background of the speakers, let's dive into the full-fledged panel discussion. And before that, participants, you can post the questions using the question tab, and we'll take it up at the end of the session. And requesting this panelist to keep the answers within 2 minutes so that we can cover more ground and allow the other panelists to give in their insights as well. So with that, my first question is for Dr. Irina. So while going global, how important it is to know your customer, and how can you gain their trust without having a local presence in the said country?
Thank you for your question. Yes, first of all, you already have a customer and you are working with your customer. That means you already create your trustful relationship with your customer. And you can speak just as a human, as your customer relationship, how is going in their countries, what request, what is now developing, what is now important in their country. That's why your customer can be your first provider in a new country. It's communication. Speak with your customer, ask questions, and make good connections. Visit your customer. This is just a simple way to understand what is going in new country for you. We are talking about small and medium enterprises. That means all of foundation of these enterprises would like to do it themselves. It's behaviors of the entrepreneurs. And first of all, you're going yourself to this country. You speak with people yourself, not to delegate to your personal, because it's your business. It's important to know how is yourself ruling this business. It's mean, yes, of course, what ladies now said, feeling, communication, culture, it's most important. But speak with your customer, ask simple examples. What is trustful? For example, now it's a lot of online e-commerce and a lot of wrong sites created in Europe, and a lot of people now disappoint that it's not nice way what treatment some e-commerce with customers. That's why trustful is really important. That's why check again your bank relation, check your payment relation, how's transferring money. It's very important because we're talking about clear money, not washing money. That's in Europe, it's first check. And now working with banks in Europe is not so easy. That's why you have to communicate firstly with your banks. Then check your website. What is domain? What is your provider? How communication going via your website, because you have to make support 24/7 days for customers. It's very important. You are ruling your business. That's why yourself, you have to understand how is going and how is relation with the country and your customers there. Now it's not important to visit customer. You can use your embassy, for example, Indian embassy in Netherlands. It's very actively. They are very friendly and open people. They can help you to connect with ecosystem of business in, for example, in Netherlands. You can ask local European foreign agency who is help people, foreign people to establish their business here. Also, internet, yes, it's useful, but you have to check. It's normal now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Irina. And yes, I should also vouch for the Embassy of the Netherlands here, who are really proactive and helpful. So yes, with that, my next question is for Ms. Shafali. So how do we tackle the issues on funding when we are venturing into an international market? And what are the available funding out there for businesses who want to go global? So over to you, Ms. Shafali.
Sure. It's very interesting that people think funding is very different when it comes to going international or domestic. Of course, international ventures do come with their share of higher capital needs because global trade can be very resource intensive. You need to take the correct, trade licenses, understand all the regulations. So there is a upfront cost that you need to be very, very clearly aware of. There is also the dynamic of, your conversion. So if you're an Indian company, rupee to euros, you pay to dollars, whichever way you may be going. So there are different ways you can come to your funding decisions. The funding decision is really an outcome of what do you want to do in your business. Are you looking at the business to set it up, run it for eternity, and it's your business? You want to start it and then sell it? Are you looking at it as a franchisee model? So there are different models in which you can take the business ahead, either scale it globally or domestically, right? Once you've understood what do you want to do, it also depends on the stage of your business. Is your business domestically a very old business, and therefore you may have certain amount of funds available personally and personal equity for that matter? Or is it a new business and therefore the dynamics will be very different? The third thing I would consider is, what is the kind of business you do? Is it a product which requires manufacturing, shipping, supply chain? So then you're looking at a different market and dynamics there. You need the product placed in maybe malls, you made it placed in certain shops, or are you looking at a service? Services are usually the easiest to move cross border. So if you're into training, if you're into for example, you're a psychologist or physiotherapist or a counselor, these kind of services are a lot more to take to the other side. Of course, we need to remember what we spoke a little while earlier about the dynamics of the market, culture, regulations, but I'm purely talking from a funding point of view here. So depending on that and these factors, once you've understood what you want to do with your business and what is your business, you can look at traditional funding sources or slightly non-traditional funding sources. So traditional funding sources include, creating a working capital, debt funds. These are the common typical type of fundings that you can get. The more modern and the hyped ones that you hear nowadays are angel investors. A lot of fintech startups create incubating centers which allow you to present your business and then they give you the funding. But you need to remember that each fund comes with its strings attached, irrespective of where you get the fund from. It could be personal funding or it could be institutional funding. And be aware about the dynamics therein. So let's look at personal funding. Personal funding could be just personal savings, your business itself funding the venture. If you're a slightly more established company, you may have an umbrella company that might be help you to set that up. If you have friends and family, be very cautious about that one. But if you have friends and family who are happy to contribute to your growth or failure, that could be one source that you can take. But be clear about the dynamics there. one of the biggest relationship killers are taking money from friends and families. Take it from only friends and families who are willing to write off the money if you do not achieve the set goals. The other way to go is de-risk yourself from that is to go to institutional investors. Um, if you're an Indian business wanting to go abroad, there are multiple SME and MSME loans and grants that are available. Please explore them. A lot of the loans and grants are going unused and because of lack of awareness. So the government is promoting export and is supporting businesses that are taking that route. So explore that option. Banks, taking a bank loan against a collateral, if you think that that's an option available, can be the traditional models of taking funding and loan. Other than that, the more modern ways can be incubators and accelerators that I spoke about. Try and find incubators and accelerator in your host country. So if suppose you want to enter the Canadian market, right? See if you can connect with one of the incubators there and use your business case to present there. Or venture capital and equity convertible notes. These are a slightly more complex ways of doing it. But if you have awareness about your financial funding and financial negotiating tools, those are some other options that are available. The one caution that I would like to say is, and that's often missed by a lot of business and SMEs and MSMEs, is insurance. Please make sure you have proper insurance for everything you are exporting, because the liability costs can be extremely high. You're entering another country, another geography, rules, regulations can be very different. So please take adequate insurance that covers this. I will summarize by saying that just like any smart financial decision, diversification is the key to your success. Please diversify your loans and financial fundings that you do. And most importantly, not be unaware about what you're getting into. Don't be too dependent on one type of funding, be it personal or institutional, and manage that efficiently. Somebody mentioned this in my panel, esteemed panel, a little while ago. Profitability is the key and the reason you're doing business. So let's stay in business and stay profitable.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Shafali. So with that, my next question is to Ms. Upasana. How do we guard our intellectual property when we are in a foreign market?
That's actually a very, very important question, because I think so. IP and patents are one of the most least people look into when they are growing global. And IP is so important because if you look at any of the Fortune 500 companies and their valuation, their capital assets only contribute to 15% of their valuation. 85% of their valuation actually comes from their IP assets. And IP is what right now breaks or makes a company to a great extent, because what you do needs to be protected. Sometimes companies have taken years to develop the technology or the processes, which is key to their growth. And if you want to have a mobility or a freedom to globally to do the business the way you're doing, to continue to have edge over your competitors so that they just cannot copy what they are doing, or they just don't exploit your technology for which you have taken years to build, it is very important to have your patents and intellectual property per se, and patents, trademarks, and copyrights. The key here is what patents brings to you is a higher valuation. Your valuation depends on that. And the second part is it generates revenue streams. So if people are trying to copy what you have built, you can license them and generate revenue. And the third and the most important thing is for SMEs, especially, patent becomes more important when they are going in a market which is very crowded and which is dominated by a leader and they have created something innovative. So since your global growth, your valuation, how you're going to get more customers, how you will generate more revenue is so well integrated to your IP, your patents, your trademarks and copyright, it becomes very, very important to protect them at the international level. So Mishima, you asked me, how do we do it? Basically, simple answer is hire a lawyer, because this is what they're trained for. But I'm not a patent lawyer, so I'm not providing these services, but that's the key. Because there are several nuances. Again, the law changes completely from jurisdiction to jurisdiction how patents are filed. But typically, one of the easiest way to protect your patent would be to file a US patent or a Canadian patent, because these two countries have treaties with most of the countries in the world, where if you have a US patent, your patent would be recognized in that country. So one of the easiest way is, if you are in any part of the country in the world and you are filing patent and you have limited means to do that, just first file a US or a Canadian patent, because of the maximum trade treaties or the patent treaties they have. There is a universal appeal to these patents. Secondly, if you have already filed a patent in your home country and you are planning to go global, please make sure that you file your US patent or patent in other jurisdictions where you want to target within 12 months of filing your patent in the home country. So for example, there's an Indian company, they have worked hard to make an ERP software, and they know that the technology or even the process part could be patented, and they have filed a patent in India, and they're opening a subsidiary in Delaware to launch this product in the US market. They have to make sure that if they want a protection under the US law, there is a priority clause. Any part of the world, you file a patent in your home country, you have the priority to file that patent within 12 months in any other jurisdiction. But if you pass that 12-month period, then there is a problem, because you lose your priority and somebody can else file a same patent too. So one, go with the US and Canadian patent. If you have already filed the patent in your home country, make sure your lawyers know that you have to file the patent in the other jurisdiction within 12 months of filing that patent in the home country. Again, last caveat, and many times people forget this. Happens. You did something and somebody already has a patent for it. You did all the research and your team of lawyers come back and say, hey guys, you know what? There is somebody who's already got a patent on it. It's not going to work. You don't need to lose your heart over it, because the whole idea here is that you've worked hard. This is your competitive edge. It's years of your hard work to develop that patented technology or patented process in production anywhere. Patent comes with very stringent research. You have to define what is the invention, every step of it. So if you can still work hard to do and distinguish yourself from a competitor who has a similar patent in terms of processes, in terms of technology, even a slight difference, work hard, work for a few more years, you can again refile a patent. Just rejection of a patent doesn't mean that all your hard work is going down the drain. There are strategies which need to be taken into consideration. Again, key is, because the law is so diversified, because the way things are done in various jurisdictions are so different, you want to be aware of how it is done correctly. So when you have a heart problem, you're not going to start Googling up and figuring out how to help you with an open heart surgery and how to start with it. I would suggest that it sounds easy, but patent has a very specialized knowledge, and there are a lot of lawyers who are doing this work. So please make sure you get a right partner, law firm, to help you out. And very important, when you hire a law firm in your home country, please ask them first, who are their international partners, because no lawyer can file international patents all over the world themselves. Most of the patent lawyers are well connected in the network. They have partners in the other part of the world. So make sure you have an idea of the global network of the law firm you're working, because once you develop a trust factor with the law firm in your home country, you tend to go with them and their partners. So a couple of things: if you're going, make sure you have filed the patent, you know the jurisdiction, how strong your patent is it well protected, get the right lawyer team. That's how you go internationally and protect your patents. Thank you, Mishima.
Thank you, Ms. Upasna. That was great. So with that, I have the next question for Ms. Yadin. What knowledge and tools can assist SMEs when deciding to go global? Over to you, Ms. Yadin.
Thank you. So I think there are a few international tools. I know that the ITC has two interesting tools for companies that can help. One is called the Trade Map, and the other is the Market Access Map. And it provides information on regulations, on tariffs, on there are rankings for different countries, and I think one of the basic knowledge and tools that companies need to have when deciding when to access a market is really understanding the regulatory framework, because I think it sometimes, and we saw companies that go into contracts and agreements with companies overseas, but then they have so much regulatory procedures and permits that they need to acquire, and then there are many delays on their contracts and really breach of contracts because of that, because they didn't take all the regulatory framework into consideration. And I think sometimes, like you understand your local market and you know the rules and regulations, but if you don't find something in the foreign market, in their websites or when you contact lawyers, don't assume it doesn't exist. You really need to look for it, and sometimes even get an affirmative answer if there is something that you need to do, or another permit, or because and I think so. And one practical really tool that you can can assist you is really finding there a focal point. When we talk about investment, so there are investment promotion agencies, and if you find the person that can really help you and even connect you, even if they, because a lot of them have a one-stop shop. So then if you get to the focal point, he can really give you all the information you need to start your business or operate or get the permits. But if they don't have this one-stop shop, they can refer you to the relevant authorities that can help you with the different licenses or whatever you need. And sometimes you fall maybe on the wrong person. And if you see that they don't give you all the information or they're not knowledgeable enough, look for a different person, because I think it's really important to have a focal point. And you see it even with multinationals. They talk all the time about the importance that the investment promotion agencies, that the people there stay the same. Even if there's a change in government, they need the same people there because they already know them. They know how to communicate. They know that if there's a problem, they can contact someone. So especially for SMEs, it's important to have this person that really it doesn't matter what arises, you can really speak to them and ask what's going on, and understand if you apply for a permit and you don't get a response, you should ask for updates, and really don't be afraid to ask questions. Or it's for them, they're the base of knowledge. So you don't need to portray yourself as experienced or as knowing, because it's a new market, and the more you ask, the more you get the information, the more advantages you have in operating your business abroad. So I think that's one of the most important tools.
Thank you, Ms. Yarin. That was quite informative. So with that, we're almost reached our time. So I would like to ask a concluding question to all our panelists here. What is your advice and best practices to be employed for international expansion? So what is your advice and best practices for international expansion? And I would like to start with Ms. Shefali.
Hi. I think for me, international expansion really means your ability to scale. And if you have the ability to scale, you need to have a very, very robust foundation and understanding of your business, the value proposition. Like my esteemed panelist said, understanding of the legislation requirements of the country you're going to, if you're expanding to America, North America, Europe. If you're expanding east, be aware about the sensitivities there, the legal regulations there, and very rightly stated, have self-confidence, because if you have the right value proposition, in time, with the right foundations of people, process, and technology, you will be able to succeed.
Thank you, Ms. Shefali. Over to Dr. Irina.
Yes, first of all, you have to make a step, and now we are in a not nice situation with pandemic. It means that you have time to preparation. I think till of March we are not going to fly, we are not going to visit each other, but you have time to make connection via internet. You have time to prepare your business yourself with right braiding as a global braiding, to speak with your banks, to speak with your advisor or your customer, which already you have. And then next year, you are welcome to, for example, to the Netherlands with trade mission from your country, with supporting of your government, with supporting of your association, because it's really well done job with your association, because you open for people new possibility. You explain people how to manage their business abroad, how to connect, with whom connected. That's why if you decided to come to Europe, look to the small country of Netherlands, and you're welcome here, because here you can expand your business not only local in Netherlands, you can expand through the world, because Netherlands is a top country with a financial rating and trustful ratings. That means if you establish a company here, if you start your new business as a startup, because we have here very nice from government of Netherlands law regarding startups, set up business in Netherlands. It's connect with visa, it connect with work permits, with connection with new employees of your countries. It's very important. You have to investigate. That's why welcome with your questions, and we can say that we have a global market as a country's market, but we also have markets, local markets. For example, in Netherlands, we request now blockchain company, 3D printing company, company wellness. It's connect with your health treatments, cannabis market, virtual reality. It connect with IT software, sustainability. All of this developing of your business. Welcome to Netherlands, and we support you as a startups, as a new business setups. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Irina, for your warm words. I'm sure our group is already motivated to, move forward to the Netherlands. So with that, I direct the question to Ms. Upasna.
Thank you, Mishima. I think so. This whole panel had very valuable thought throughout the things, what needs to take as good practices. For example, Seema started with saying, understand your customer, understand your market before you go global. Irina said, have the infrastructure. You'll be having employees 24/7. You'll have customers all over the world. Shefali made a very important point before. Understand what are the cultural nuances, how things are going to work. And Yardine told that it is important to understand the regulatory framework. I think so throughout this time, everyone pinpointed very important points to what are the best practices and advice. And it covers every part of it. One just point I would like to add to what all the esteemed panel members said. Going global, the key, one of the most important keys is you have to do all these steps. Understand the regulatory market, have the infrastructure, understand the customer, get the knowledge of the culture. You are one company. You are human beings. How do you achieve all this? The key is get the right partners, get the right team in the local markets. That's going to sail you through. They will help you to understand what is the regulatory framework. They will help you understand how to get the cultural sensitivity. They will also help you to adapt to the market. If you have the right local team, if you have the right partners in the market, that's how it's going to work. Very simple example. India is a growing market. It is so big. And I remember we had a big seminar in Canada, and it was HDFC chairman over here. He said, in India, when you take a cab from airport, if you don't know where you are going, the cab driver is going to take you 10 kilometers extra before you reach. You need your GPS to figure out you're on the right way. So if you can think you can get into the Indian market without the right partner, it's going to be impossible. You'll be going around in the bureaucratic circles for next 10 years before you even figure out where your business goes. So, and that's similar. If you're coming to the US market, it is so regulated, and North America and Europe, that you need to make sure, as somebody just mentioned, you need to have right insurance. I think Shivali mentioned that. You need to have all the insurances. It is such a regulated market. There is so much liability. If you don't have the right partners here who make you understand how to comply with these regulations, you're looking at a plethora of suits being filed against you. So key to go global is have the right team, right local partner in every jurisdiction you are entering, which help you to comply with all the factors which we discussed, where you can trust, you can basically learn from them. And another key, when you are making those teams and you're choosing those right partners, always remember there is a lot to learn, and those partners would be your mentors for first few years, then you just telling them what to do. It'll be other way around, you learn and you grow. And the day we realize that every day we are learning and growing, in your path or success path to globalization is very easy. That's the one point I would like to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Upasna. Over to you, Ms. Yardeen.
So I think everything that was said is true. And if I try to think about it, another thing that is important is really, so it's very important to be very thorough and do the due diligence about the market. But another thing is, as a company that is expanding, I think it's very important to be open-minded and innovative, and understand that when you're going to a new market, there are really just uncertainties and a lot of new challenges that you will encounter in a new market and new customers. And really, I want to give an example of a company that I read about. Its history. It's called Here. I think that's the way it's pronounced. And it was a local refrigerator company, a Chinese one, that really expanded to be multinational. And how it worked, it really looked at every market and adapted its products to the market. So one really interesting example was that they provided washing machines to rural areas, and then they got a phone call that the washing machine is not working because they found out that they're cleaning the vegetables and all their grains in these washing machines. And instead of trying to educate the community and saying, well, it's only for clothes, they really adapted their machine and made it for vegetables. And I thought it's brilliant, really, to understand like how important it is to be open-minded and not say, okay, but this is our product, so that's what we're doing, but really open your mind and to say, okay, this is the local community, that's what they need. If we can supply and we have the capacity to really give to supply what they need, that's what we do. And we don't try to educate them, but we really provide the answer for their needs. And I thought that was a really good approach. So yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Yardeen, and thanks to all the panelists for joining us for such an informative and insightful session. And due to time constraints, I have to cut short here. And I would like to conclude by saying that when considering global expansion, successful companies must take intentional steps of understanding the cultural nuances inherent in connecting with the diverse multilingual international market. As John Lanchester said, the slogans of globalization are, "Get on your bike, the world is flat." People who want to get on should be willing to move often and without hesitation. So with that, again, on behalf of CIMSME and GCPIT, I would like to thank our panelists, Dr. Irina Biermann, Ms. Seema Chaturvedi, who left us because she had some appointments, Ms. Shafali Sonpar, Ms. Upasna Sharma, and Ms. Yardeen Khagan for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mishima, and thank you, everyone. It was such an awesome learning experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. And participants, with that, we'll take a short commercial break. We'll be back with another power-packed panel discussion on womenomics. So please stay tuned.